The realm of crime and punishment is a dark and intriguing aspect of human society. Within it, some individuals have committed heinous acts that shock the collective conscience, leaving a lasting impact on both their victims and the wider world. For those found guilty of the most brutal crimes, the ultimate punishment often awaits them: the death sentence. This irreversible sentence carries with it an air of finality and delivers a chilling reminder of the consequences of one's actions. Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we'll be looking at the most ruthless killers' reactions to death sentences. Yeah, you heard it right. Michael Brady. This person is Michael Brady, who made an attempt to escape from prison, resulting in the death of 4 prison workers at the Pasquotank Correctional Institution in North Carolina. He repeatedly struck Jeffrey Howe with a hammer until he ceased moving, but the exact number of blows is unknown. Prior to this incident, Brady was facing a 24-year prison sentence for attempted murder after shooting at a North Carolina state trooper. 4 years into his sentence, Brady, along with 3 other inmates, brutally murdered 4 prison workers using hammers and scissors. Brady savagely beat Batman George, resembling someone trying to break through concrete. Afterward, Brady attempted to evade capture by hopping a fence, but was ultimately apprehended at gunpoint. The scene was reminiscent of a bloodbath. During the trial, the prosecutors presented arguments stating that Brady was the mastermind behind the attack and showed no remorse for the killings. We are aware of the individual who initiated the plan. After being found guilty, Brady takes the stand during his sentencing and expresses his willingness to tell the truth. He assures that he is prepared to answer any questions regardless of whether they may harm or benefit him. He dismisses concerns about the consequences, stating that he does not care about personal gain or loss. He boldly declares that anyone who doubts his words must be crazy. Brady denies being insane and affirms his understanding of the distinction between right and wrong. When asked if he recognizes that murder is morally wrong, he acknowledges that murder is another term for ending a life. However, he reveals that his own freedom held greater value to him than the lives of those he took. Subsequently, the judge reads jury's recommendation, which is a unanimous decision advocating for the defendant's death sentence. Brady appears completely devoid of any emotions, and the judge ultimately concurs with the jury's verdict, condemning him to death. Presently, Brady resides in prison in Colorado, awaiting the execution of his death sentence. Austin Myers and Timothy Mosley. These individuals are Austin Myers and Timothy Mosley, both of whom were convicted for the murder of 18-year-old Justin in Waynesville, Ohio. Myers and Mosley entered Justin's house with the intention of robbing a safe owned by his father. During the course of the robbery, Justin was strangled using a choke wire. The choice to use strangulation was motivated by the idea that it would minimize the mess and make the job easier to handle. Unfortunately, Justin resisted and fought back, but he was unable to overpower them. In a tragic turn of events, Justin was brutally stabbed 21 times until he succumbed to his injuries. Throughout the ordeal, Justin pleaded for his life, questioning why this was happening and desperately appealing for the violence to cease. During the trial, Mosley testified against Myers in exchange for a plea bargain, resulting in a guilty plea and a life sentence in prison. Finally, it was Myers' turn to take the stand before the jury, pleading for them to spare his life. He implored the jury to consider his family and their well-being, hoping to avoid the death penalty. Myers passionately expressed that choosing his death would only inflict more pain and suffering upon another family, not himself. He emphasized that the consequences would not affect him personally and that he would not experience any feelings. Instead, he emphasized that the ripple effects on his death would cause anguish to innocent individuals. The judge states that the defendant fails to comprehend the value of life, hence, Austin Gregory Myers is sentenced to death for the charge of aggravated murder. At just 19 years old, this verdict makes Myers the youngest individual in Ohio to be placed on death row. Currently, he awaits his execution at the Chillicothe Correctional Institution. This senseless act has left numerous lives shattered. It was all done for nothing. The safe held no money or valuable possessions. They committed this horrific act for essentially nothing. Nico Jenkins. Nico Jenkins, a 15-year-old at the time, gained notoriety after being convicted of 4 counts of murder during a 10-day killing spree in Omaha, Nebraska. Following his conviction, Jenkins was sentenced to a youth correctional facility, where he served a 10-year sentence for carjacking and assault. However, only a month after his release, Jenkins committed another heinous act by shooting and killing 2 individuals during a robbery. 8 days later, Jenkins targeted a former inmate who he had initially met in prison. Tragically, this individual was shot and killed in his own garage. Continuing his violent rampage, 2 days after that incident, Jenkins claimed his 4th victim in a carjacking. Eventually, Jenkins was apprehended by the authorities on unrelated charges. However, it was during this time that law enforcement was able to connect him to the aforementioned crimes. The ammunition used in one of the killings was linked to Nico Jenkins. Do you not understand that I've captured Nico Jenkins? I possess your DNA at the murder scene and in the car. I also have the weapon that implicates Nico Jenkins. This was stated. Jenkins entered a plea of no contest to 4 charges of first-degree murder, waiving his right to a jury trial. Instead, a 3-judge panel will determine his innocence or guilt. Each of these murders was a calculated and premeditated act, with the victim specifically targeted. Jenkins is found guilty of all 4 murders, and he remains motionless as the verdict is delivered. Consequently, the panel concludes that the death penalty is appropriate and hereby sentences Jenkins to death for each of the 4 murders. Surprisingly, Jenkins appears completely unaffected by his sentencing. Currently, he is incarcerated at the Nebraska State Penitentiary awaiting the implementation of his death sentence. So that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so that you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Stay tuned, and we'll catch you in the next video.